Hello. I decided to come outside, out back my house, get a little different scenery. I'm in the basement way too much as it is. So um, there's the back of my house. There's the side of my house. Um, sometimes it gets a little loud, cars going by, but try to work through that. So I believe, I know I started that one book, expository text, yesterday, but gonna have to skip that one today. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm gonna do it that way. No, I'm not. I'm gonna finish that one. And then we'll talk about the story that you'll be tested on Friday, which is gonna be about Mount Rushmore. I'll do that on Thursday, and I'll reread it again on Friday, and then you can take the test on it. So what did we decide? I'm gonna read this. That's what I decided. So chapter 2, war memorials. War memorials honor the people who served during wartime. The World War II memorial has columns around a pool. More than 4,000 gold stars decorate a curved wall. Each star represents 100 American soldiers who died in the war. And it says the columns of the World War II memorial represent the states and territories that made up the United States at the time. The Vietnam War was America's longest war. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial was finished in 1982. This memorial is for the 58,000 Americans who died or went missing during the war. Their names are written in on two walls of the memorial. And this statue honors the women who served in Vietnam. Big semi-truck coming. It's going to get loud. Another memorial honors American veterans of the Korean War. There are 19 sculptures of soldiers at the site. About 2,500 images of soldiers. Images of soldiers from the war appear on the wall. These sculptures are part of the Korean War Veterans Memorial. Chapter 3, Collecting America's History. The Air and Space Museum has early airplanes. Remember the picture I showed of you with me with the aircrafts, the spaceships that actually went to space? That was in this. The National Mall has a number of museums. One of them is the Air and Space Museum. Visitors can see the Wright brothers' first plane. They can also see the suits that the astronauts wore on the moon. There are traces of transportation history at the Museum of American History too. There are trains from the 1800s and a 1950s stagecoach. Excuse me, station wagon. Ooh, a 1950s station wagon, not a stagecoach. Two totally different things. Man, it's a little chilly out here. It's chilly and not wanting to work. That's not a good combination. Maybe coming outside wasn't such a good idea. Maybe I will go ahead and read this. And then for Thursday, I'll go back and I'll finish the National Mall one. We'll see if this one's going to work. All right, so change of plans. Forget about the National Mall for right now. Now we're talking about the Mount Rushmore that's up in South Dakota, up in the Black Hills. Keep it in mind. Think about what the main idea is, what the author really wants us to understand. So Mount Rushmore honors 4 special United States presidents. They are George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. Every year, millions of people travel to Mount Rushmore. It is a mountain in the Black Hills of South Dakota. What is so important about this mountain? The heads of 4 United States presidents have been carved into the side. Mount Rushmore is a national landmark. It is also a national treasure. Rushmore's birth. An artist named Gutzon Berglund designed the monument about 80 years ago. He chose the 4 presidents. They were symbols of our country's best qualities. George Washington led the new nation. Abraham Lincoln ended slavery. He kept the nation going together during the Civil War. Thomas Jefferson helped the country grow, and Theodore Roosevelt saved lands for parks. These leaders stand for the first 150 years of American history. People from all over visit South Dakota's Mount Rushmore National Museum. Carving a monument. There was 400 stone workers that helped carve the faces. Creating Mount Rushmore was a big job. First, the artist made small models of the faces. He used them to guide the workers. The workers used dynamite to carefully blast away the rocks. Then they used tools to carve the faces into the massive mountain. 400 people worked for 14 years to finish the grand sculpture. The monument cost almost $1 million. Probably costs a lot more than that today. Think big. Just how big are the faces of Mount Rushmore? Really big. The faces of the presidents are 60 feet tall. That is as tall as a 6th-floor building. Their noses are 20 feet long. Their mouths are 11 feet wide. And here's a picture. It says a worker had to climb up 500 feet above the ground to carve the faces. Discover the facts. Most people visit Mount Rushmore in the summer. Park rangers talk about the history of the mountain. Visitors can visit the mountain museum to learn more. They can discover facts about the presidents. They can also visit the artist's studio. Mount Rushmore is an important landmark. It is a symbol of our country's history, and it reminds people of 4 great presidents. Now up here, we've got one of those sidebars. It says Native American history. Native Americans lived in the Black Hills long before Mount Rushmore was built. It was a special place for them. It is important to learn about Native Americans and their history. For this reason, the monument includes a Native American heritage village. Visitors can see teepees. They can find traces of Native American life long ago. The heritage village gives clues to the past. It teaches visitors even more about Mount Rushmore and our country's history. It's kind of fitting that I don't know if I need to read this or not. But this week, it's Columbus Day. Monday was Columbus Day. But a lot of people don't want to call it Columbus Day anymore. They want to call it Indigenous People Day. So we're talking about people that lived here in America before we called it America. So Native Americans. So that's kind of fitting that we're talking about that this week. So now let's talking about comparing text. So we're going to think about what we just read, and now we're going to read something a little bit different. It says, read about a landmark street in Los Angeles, California that celebrates Mexican-American culture. Olvera Street is the birthplace of Los Angeles. It started with a small group of settlers from Mexico. That was over 200 years ago. Since then, Los Angeles has grown into a great city, and this city remembers its past. Olvera Street is part of the El Pueblo de Los Angeles Monument. This place keeps history alive. Old buildings and museums on Olvera Street show visitors about its Mexican past. One of these is the Villa Adobe. It was built in 1818, 200 years ago. It is the city's oldest building. It shows how people in California lived back then. Families visit Olvera Street to learn about California history. They also enjoy the famous outdoor market. Musicians play cheerful Mexican and Spanish music. Folk dancers whirl around in colorful costumes. Everybody has a good time on Alvaro Street, and they learn about the past too. So think about, how is that different? How is it the same with the Mount Rushmore part? Last page. Places to visit. Alvaro Street is just one of many landmarks and monuments in the United States. Here's a look at some others. What do you think you can learn from each one? So we got the Statue of Liberty that's in New York. The statue is a symbol of freedom and liberty. France gave it to the United States as a gift of friendship. It stands in the New York City Harbor. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park, that's in Tennessee and North Carolina. The park is one of the last large hardwood forests in the country. It's a safe place for many animals. There are about 1,500 black bears in the park today. John F. Kennedy Space Center down in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The first men to walk on the moon blasted off from the Kennedy Space Center in 1969. Since then, NASA has launched 135 missions from there. And last but not least, seem to keep talking about this all week, Martin Luther King Jr. National Memorial. MLK wanted all people to have the same rights. He inspired people to fight for the rights of African Americans. And that's it. So there you go. That's what we got, and that's what the test is going to be on Friday. I'll read it again. Probably go ahead and pick a different video, make a different video so you can watch it and get ready for the test on Friday. So that's all for today. Check Google Classroom. I'm sure I came up with a worksheet for you. All you have to do with vocabulary words again. Do I do that at the end of every video? Is that my thing?